Where are you watching from? Drop your city or country in the comments. We love seeing how far our stories reach. What do you think about this unbelievable moment? Could it have been a coincidence, or was something truly extraordinary happening? Let us know your thoughts below. And don't forget, a brand new, mind blowing story is coming tomorrow. Make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss it. See you in the next story. A doctor ignored a mother's plea, then the baby spoke. The delivery room was filled with a mix of exhaustion and joy as Emily and Jake Thompson welcomed their newborn son Liam into the world. After hours of painful labor, Emily finally held her baby in her arms, feeling an overwhelming rush of love and relief. Jake, standing by her side, wiped away tears as he gently touched his son's tiny fingers. It was the moment they had been waiting for, the moment they had dreamed about for so long. Dr. Carter, the experienced obstetrician who had delivered thousands of babies, stepped forward with a reassuring nod. "Let's take him for a quick checkup," he said, lifting Liam carefully. "Just routine procedures." Emily, still exhausted, gave a small nod, trusting the process. Jake, however, felt uneasy. He had spent months worrying about his wife's pregnancy and didn't want to be separated from his son, not even for a moment. "Can I come with you?" Jake asked, expecting Dr. Carter to dismiss him. But to his surprise, the doctor simply nodded. "Fine," he said, already focused on the newborn in his arms. Jake followed closely as they stepped into an adjacent examination room. The bright overhead lights illuminated the sterile environment as Dr. Carter adjusted Liam in his arms, bringing the infant's face close to his own. The doctor's expression was neutral at first, but then he gasped. The sound made the nurses turn abruptly. One of them frowned. "Doctor, is everything all right?" Dr. Carter didn't respond. Instead, he stared at the newborn, his brow furrowed, his breathing uneven. He looked down at Liam again, almost as if he were expecting something, as if he were listening to something only he could hear. Jake felt his stomach tighten. "What's wrong?" he asked, stepping forward. "What's going on?" The doctor remained silent for a few seconds before muttering, I think I heard something." The nurses exchanged confused glances. "Heard what?" one of them asked cautiously. Dr. Carter swallowed hard, his grip tightening slightly around the baby. "I know it sounds impossible, but I swear I just heard him say, 'Help!'" Jake's world spun. His knees nearly buckled as he grabbed onto the nearest cabinet for support. Did he just say their newborn spoke? That was impossible. Babies don't talk, especially not seconds after birth. "Doctor," one of the nurses said carefully, "are you sure?" Dr. Carter looked at the infant again, his face pale. He didn't answer. Instead, he turned sharply toward the medical table, his hands suddenly moving with urgency. "Get me a blood sample," he ordered. Jake's heart pounded. Whatever had just happened, something was very wrong. Jake stood frozen, his pulse pounding in his ears. The room felt smaller, tighter, as he watched Dr. Carter move with sudden urgency. Nurses rushed to prepare the blood test while the doctor, still visibly shaken, ran his fingers through his hair. Jake's mind was racing. Had his newborn son really spoken? Or was it just a strange, stress-induced hallucination? He wanted answers, but before he could demand them, memories of the past few months came flooding back. Emily had suffered through months of unexplained pain. It started as dull cramps early in her pregnancy, but as the months went on, the pain worsened. She had struggled through sleepless nights, holding her stomach, convinced something was wrong. Each time she went to the doctor, she was told the same thing: stress, digestion issues, nothing serious. Jake had been there for every appointment, watching as Dr. Carter dismissed Emily's concerns over and over again. "Your body is just adjusting," he had said. "Try to relax. Stress can make things worse." But Jake had seen it in Emily's eyes, the fear, the frustration, the deep feeling that something wasn't right. As her due date approached, the pain never truly went away, but there were no signs of labor either. They waited. 1 week passed, then 2. Still nothing. Emily grew more anxious, terrified that something was wrong with the baby. Jake tried to stay strong, but he couldn't shake the unease settling in his chest. Desperate, they tried everything to induce labor: long walks, stretching, even natural remedies. Nothing worked. Then one night, Emily clutched her stomach, her face twisted in pain, and finally the contractions began. Jake had never driven so fast in his life. Every red light seemed to last forever. By the time they reached the hospital, Emily was in full-blown labor. And then, Dr. Carter was there again. The very doctor who had brushed off Emily's concerns for months. Jake had wanted to protest, to demand another doctor, but seeing his wife in pain, he had swallowed his anger. He had no choice but to trust him. And now, standing in this cold, sterile examination room, watching Dr. Carter frantically run tests on his son, Jake felt his stomach turn. Was this connected to everything Emily had endured? Had they missed something critical? Jake's fists clenched as he watched the doctor insert the baby's blood sample into a device. Seconds stretched into eternity as the screen loaded. Then, Dr. Carter's face went pale. Jake took a step forward. "What is it?" he demanded. Dr. Carter didn't answer right away. His eyes were glued to the screen. When he finally spoke, his voice was barely above a whisper. "We should have run these tests months ago." Jake felt his stomach drop. The air in the examination room suddenly felt too thick, too heavy. Dr. Carter's face had lost all color, his usually confident demeanor replaced by something unsettling, fear. Jake's patience snapped. "What do you mean? What's wrong with my son?" His voice was sharp, demanding, but Dr. Carter didn't answer right away. His eyes flicked between the newborn in his arms and the blood test results on the screen. One of the nurses hesitated before stepping closer. "Doctor?" she prompted, her voice tight with concern. Dr. Carter exhaled shakily. I think the baby was trying to warn us." Jake's skin went cold. "Warn us about what?" The doctor turned the screen toward him. Numbers and medical terms filled the display, none of which Jake could decipher. But he didn't need to understand them to know something was very wrong. "His blood work shows signs of an infection," Dr. Carter said, his voice barely above a whisper. "It's serious. If we hadn't caught this now, it could have been fatal." Jake's chest tightened. His breath came in sharp, uneven bursts. An infection? But Emily's pregnancy was full term. He's never even been outside. How is that possible? The doctor clenched his jaw. "It means it started in the womb." Jake's heart pounded as the pieces snapped together like a cruel puzzle. Emily's months of unexplained pain. The way she knew something was wrong, but no one listened. The agonizing weeks past her due date. It had all been leading to this. He turned away, running a shaking hand through his hair. Guilt gnawed at him. He should have fought harder. He should have forced the doctor to listen. But instead, his wife had suffered, and his son had been born already fighting for his life. Dr. Carter quickly snapped out of his daze, turning to the nurses. "We need to get him to the NICU immediately. He needs intravenous antibiotics and full monitoring." A nurse reached for the baby, but Jake instinctively stepped forward. "Wait. Can I at least tell Emily?" Dr. Carter hesitated. "I'll talk to her, but we don't have time to waste. Every second matters." Jake clenched his fists as they whisked his son away. He could still hear Dr. Carter's words echoing in his mind. "If we hadn't caught this now, it could have been fatal." And the only reason they did was because the baby had spoken. Jake stood frozen, watching as the nurses rushed his newborn son out of the examination room. His mind was racing, his heartbeat thunderous in his chest. How had this happened? How had they missed something so critical? Dr. Carter turned to him, his expression grim. "Jake, I need to speak with Emily. She needs to know what's happening." Jake swallowed hard. "She's already been through so much. How do I tell her that our son?" His voice caught in his throat. He couldn't even bring himself to say it. Dr. Carter placed a firm hand on Jake's shoulder. "He's getting the care he needs. But I won't lie to you. If we hadn't caught this, he might not have survived the next 48 hours. Jake's stomach twisted. The idea that they could have gone home thinking everything was fine, only to wake up to something unthinkable. He couldn't let himself go there. With shaky legs, he forced himself back to Emily's hospital room. She was sitting up, exhaustion still evident in her eyes, but she was alert, waiting. The moment she saw Jake's face, her expression shifted from relief to fear. "Where's Liam?" she asked immediately. Jake took a deep breath, walking over to her bedside. "Emily." He hesitated, but there was no way to soften this. Dr. Carter ran extra tests. He found something. Liam has an infection. It started before he was born. Emily's breath hitched. "What? But how?" Jake shook his head, his own emotions barely held in check. I don't know, but they said it could have been fatal if they hadn't caught it. Emily's face went pale. Her hands trembled as she gripped the hospital blanket. I knew something was wrong, Jake. I knew it. Her voice cracked, and no one listened. Jake clenched his jaw, guilt sinking deep into his bones. I know, and I should have pushed harder. But right now, we need to focus on him. He's in the NICU, they're treating him, and his voice wavered. He's going to be okay. Emily exhaled shakily, eyes welling with tears. I need to see him. Before Jake could respond, Dr. Carter entered the room. His usual confidence was gone, replaced by something that looked uncomfortably like regret. Emily, he said carefully, his voice lower than before. I owe you an apology. I should have listened to you. I should have caught this sooner. He sighed, rubbing his forehead. I've delivered thousands of babies, and yet your son? He shook his head. I've never had a newborn tell me something was wrong before. Emily and Jake stared at him, the weight of his words sinking in. Dr. Carter took a deep breath. I can't explain what happened in that room, but I can tell you this. Whatever made me take that second look saved your son's life. Emily sat motionless, her fingers gripping the hospital blanket so tightly her knuckles turned white. Dr. Carter's words echoed in her head. If they hadn't run those tests, if they had just assumed everything was fine, she couldn't even finish the thought. Jake was standing beside her, his own face pale, his hands clenched into fists at his sides. Can we see him? He asked, his voice raw. Dr. Carter nodded. Yes, but only for a short time. He's in the NICU, receiving antibiotics. The next 24 hours are critical. He hesitated before adding, but he's a fighter. I don't know how, but I believe he was trying to tell us that himself. Emily shuddered, unable to shake the memory of all those months of pain, the gut feeling that something wasn't right, the fear that no one took seriously. And now it had almost cost their son his life. Jake gently helped her out of bed, and together they followed Dr. Carter down the long, sterile hallway toward the neonatal intensive care unit. Every step felt agonizingly slow. Emily's mind raced with worst-case scenarios, but she forced herself to hold on to hope. When they finally reached the NICU, a nurse met them at the door, her face kind but serious. He's stable for now, she reassured them. The antibiotics are working, but he needs time. Emily's breath caught as she stepped closer to the tiny incubator. Liam was so small, so fragile, connected to delicate IV lines and monitors. His chest rose in soft, steady breaths, and for a moment the fear that had gripped her for months melted away. Tears blurred her vision as she reached inside and gently touched his tiny fingers. Hi, baby, she whispered, her voice shaking but full of love. Jake stood beside her, one hand resting protectively on her shoulder as he looked at their son. His son. The weight of everything hit him all at once. The close call, the doctor's negligence, the moment that had somehow saved their baby's life. Dr. Carter stood behind them, hands in his pockets, his face unreadable. Finally, he exhaled and spoke. I'm deeply sorry, he admitted. I made a mistake by not listening to Emily earlier, but I need you both to know I won't ever make that mistake again. Emily nodded, but her focus stayed on Liam. She didn't need an apology. She just needed her baby to make it through. And after 6 months of checkups, treatments, and prayers, he did. At 11 months old, Liam spoke his first word, or maybe it was really his second. What do you think about this incredible story? Do you believe that instincts, whether a mother's or even a newborn's, can truly save lives? Imagine being in Jake and Emily's shoes, watching their newborn fight for survival while knowing their concerns had been ignored for months. What would you have done? And what about Dr. Carter? Do you think his last-minute decision to run those tests was pure luck, or was something bigger at play? Could the baby really have spoken, or was it just a trick of the mind, a desperate subconscious signal pushing the doctor to act? We'd love to hear your thoughts. Leave a comment below and let us know where you're watching from. Have you or someone you know ever had a moment where a gut feeling or an unexplained event made all the difference? And don't forget, we have another mind-blowing story coming tomorrow. Make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss a single twist. See you in the next one.